Thursday night football, Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 10.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of points.
My initial thoughts on this one, the Chiefs play the Broncos 2 out of the next 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. The Broncos historically bad right now on defense. No matter which way you slice it, it is legendary. Like, their defense is so bad, they would be all of their opponents are the best offense of all time by far. Right?
They've almost given up the same number of rushing yardage in 5 games that the 2000 Ravens gave up all season.
There's a lot of good superlatives in there.
Yeah.
I like to look at how defenses do against 10-yard throws, 10-plus yard throws. How they fare down the field. Yeah. Do you know what the completion percentage is against the Denver defense on 10-plus yard throws down the field?
76.
Yes.
Excellent.
76? How'd you know? I tweeted it earlier. I don't know. You didn't see my Twitter?
No, I just guessed.
How'd you?
Do you know another?
Do you know how bad 76 is?
Yeah, it's awful. They are also the worst graded coverage unit in the NFL when no pressure is on the play, when they don't get pressure up front.
Yeah.
So if you don't get pressure, and they're not getting a ton of pressure, they have the worst coverage unit in the NFL.
So
with Patrick Surtain back there, by the way, like that's quite difficult to do.
So my prediction here, look, there have been bad defenses other times in NFL history. Mm-hmm. The Lions were not this bad last year, but they had their own historical pace as far as giving up yards. The Miami Dolphins a couple years ago started 1-7 and were at this pretty bad level. And you get better. Like, those defenses don't stay historically bad, and they don't keep the pace, right? However, this feels like a spot with the Chiefs where it's not like the Chiefs are sitting there, waxing teams like they usually do, and they're not putting up 40 points a game like they have at various points. This feels like a time where 3 weeks from now we're like, Mahomes has ridiculous numbers and the Chiefs are putting up 40 points, and it feels like a get right 3 weeks, 2 out of 3 weeks here for the Chiefs. Now, if the Broncos, can slow Kansas City down a little bit, maybe we could make these into pretty decent games. But right now it looks like Kansas City has a chance to light up Denver.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like when Kansas City played the Bears a couple of weeks ago, and they looked like they were going to hang 70 on Chicago, just like Miami had done a couple of hours before to Denver. I mean, that kind of feels like the yardstick, right? Miami put 70 on this team. That's probably the high water mark. Kansas City's not going to get there, but, 50 isn't unrealistic.
But it's the NFL. It's football. It's not always that clean. And look, Kansas City's offense has been, not as good as last year, for whatever that's worth, especially outside of the Bears game. So, I'm always hoping for competitive games because I'm rooting for the Shield, right? We're rooting for good ball here. But It looks like on paper the Chiefs, not only are they 10.5-point favorites, they're at home. They should put some points up against Denver.
Yeah, Denver has lost, the last 4 games for Denver. 35 points given up, 70 points given up, 28 points given up, 31 points given up.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot. And now you're facing the Chiefs.
Yes, that's correct. Do you have anything to add to this game? Are we going to have another one of these weeks? People thought we were mad at each other during the preview show last week because I kept asking you for, information.
I gave you several pieces of information. Not only, in fact, I even gave you the piece of information you were asking for.
You did. You nailed it, 76%. I was also asked this morning about the Russell Wilson-Sean Payton dynamic, and I want to reiterate. I think, look, Russ was not great last week against the Jets. We've got a few weeks of data now that says maybe quarterbacks that face the Jets aren't going to play very well. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes,
sure.
Right? They had their worst games. Outside of that, though, Russ has played pretty well. There's still these bouts where it seems like, he's just sitting there waiting to get sacked and everything. But overall, looks much better than last year.
Did you see the sideline encounter at the end of the game where he's come off the field and Sean Payton, because he took the sack and got fumbled, right? Like, bad Russ play to essentially end the game.
Yeah.
And he's coming off the field, and Sean Payton has some choice words for him on the sideline, I get the impression that Sean Payton, like Russell's corny thing, which I don't think is actually a shtick. I think that's him, right? Like, everyone assumes this is an act of some kind. I honestly don't think it is. Did you hear the Marshawn Lynch description on Shannon Sharp's podcast of, like, the Super Bowl play? The don't run Marshawn at the 1 interception, Malcolm Butler, yada, yada. Did you hear him describe that?
Russell?
Yeah.
No.
Marshawn describing
Marshawn, yeah.
the whole thing. So the thing that jumped out to me was, one of the most insane plays in NFL history. Everyone is expecting them to run Marshawn Lynch. They pass, intercepted at the 1, game over. When they're going to the sideline, you know what Russ's reaction to that was?
No.
Kind of like, dang, I'll get it. We'll get him next time, you know? I mean, look, that's I don't know what the correct reaction to that play is if you're the quarterback, but that's not it, right? And Marshawn wasn't too chuffed about that, you know? So anyway, it described what else happened. But the point is, that is Russ. Like, just shucks, we'll get him next time, boys, you know? And this whole, like Sean Payton saying earlier, stop kissing every baby like you're not running for office. But this is just him. So I kind of get the idea that the Russ cornball thing just pisses Sean Payton off. And like, the longer it goes, the more it's just going to annoy the living crap out of him.
It's definitely possible that that's the case. I mean, we in football we try to do a lot of A/B analysis, right? Because as you say, the credit pie. We're always looking for the credit pie, right? And you have Pete Carroll with years of winning with Russ. Because when you say, hey, you know, Sean Payton doesn't like the way Russ acts, I'm like, well, it's not like Russell Wilson has 10 years of terrible quarterback play on teams that don't win. He has 10 years of winning a lot of football games and playing good ball, right? That's the history of Russell Wilson. So it's not like it's not doable. But now you see the post-Russell Wilson era in Seattle, right? Here's your A/B analysis, oversimplify things. Pete Carroll's winning with Geno Smith back from the dead after 9 years just sitting on the bench. And Russell Wilson, multiple head coaches, including a Super Bowl winning head coach, and their teams are bad. Oversimplified, it looks like, good job, Pete Carroll. You know, was Pete Carroll always the guy to, pick up aw shucks guy? You know, I mean, it looks pretty good for Pete in what he was able to do through the years.
I mean, I could buy Pete, getting on okay with an aw shucks kind of guy. I just feel like Sean Payton, he's not going to warm to that, The longer that goes on, the more Sean Payton is going to be irritated to hell by the aw shucks nature of Russ.
Yeah.